Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and welcome to Size Matters. Today I want to talk about bullying. Originally, I didn't intend to make this video, but as the next video I want to make regards body positivity, I felt that it was only right to include my experiences with bullying in order to give an introduction to that topic. When you are of a size, when you are rather fat, when you are quite large, you are going to get bullied. It is a sad but actual fact. However, before I got fat, I was being bullied. This wasn't the major, people ganging up on you. This was just every now and then. I can remember the person it was, and I'm not going to name names. There's every chance she actually has no memory of doing this, and I hope that now she is an adult, she has actually become a better human being and forgot that she ever was like this. However, when I was at primary school, I've mentioned in quite a few videos now, my hips hadn't set correctly. The bones didn't actually set until I was 12 years old. My left foot, when I walked, would sometimes turn inwards. This caused me to constantly trip over myself. I could never run properly. When I would try to run, I would, as with walking, trip myself up. Only when you're running and you do it, you feel like the whole world is collapsing around you because everything's happening a lot quicker than were you to fall. Obviously, someone saw that my feet did this and they weren't going the correct way, and it just became a joke. It became something that this person would bully me about and make jokes about. But I was about 5 or 6, and at 5 or 6 I was about as obstreperous as I am now, and so I just wrote this person off as being a bad person. And whilst I did try my hardest to actually avoid that person physically whenever I saw them in the playground going to a different part of the playground, otherwise things were completely fine. Our mothers were friends with one another, and I did not really care too much because, to me, this girl was a bad person. I always saw them in trouble, and in my own way, whilst I was not bullying that person, I was making a judgment about them. The bullying about my weight started, would you believe it, when I actually started putting weight on. I mentioned in my introductory video that my weight started to go on when we moved house. At junior school, I was already feeling a bit put upon because during PE, because of my feet, because the teacher didn't like the fact that my feet were going in the wrong direction. It wasn't like they ever stayed like that. Sometimes they would straighten out and they'd even out and I'd walk correctly and people wouldn't be able to tell. But sometimes it would just, because of how it was, my foot would do that. And this teacher caught on to that. And rather than allowing me to do PE with the other children in my class, we used to have a white line around the entire hall. And she'd make me walk along this white line trying to keep my feet straight. And I can remember being so upset about it. Then there was this whole thing of threatening my mother with social services if she didn't take me back to the doctor. We went to the doctors, we got ourselves referred back to the specialist, and we got the same thing. Why have you come here? We told you that the bone would not be set by now. And we had to take that back to the school and say to them, look, we weren't lying. I'd started putting on the weight, and I got into year 4. And a PE again, and you used to have to get changed for PE in the classroom. The girls got sent somewhere else, and all the boys were changing in the one classroom. And I remember taking off my shirt, and people started making the fat jokes then. And these were other boys that I thought were my friends. There is always a child, I think, that is singled out for being a bully and for being a problem child. This time, the boy who had been singled out for being the bully was the one who stood up for me and got all of these other boys to shut up. And that was when I also realised that maybe you don't listen to what teachers are trying to tell you about other children within the classroom. Maybe you actually should try and make your own impressions of people. Obviously, then this continued. It continued into year 5. It continued into year 6. But once I got into year 6, I was like, I don't care. I'm going to own this. And I feel really ashamed in saying that I started to put on this whole facade of calling myself Fat Man, as in, in the same way as Batman, taking ownership of my own weight and saying, I'm going to make a joke about this, so if you're going to make a joke about this, that's fine, but it's my joke, and if you're laughing with me, that's fine, but if you're laughing at me, then we're going to have a problem. I never really got confrontational with people. I just let them know that if they were going to make a joke, then I was going to make a joke about myself. It was going to be 10 times better than theirs, and they better get on board with it. At the start of year 6, I've said before, we had my granddad's death, and that really affected me. Then I had to have an operation where they removed all the teeth on the left-hand side of my mouth. It's this left-hand side. I have a lot of problem with this left-hand side. But yeah, they removed all these teeth here. And so I don't know whether it was because of that the bullying almost stopped when I went back to school, but it definitely wasn't there. And I was looking forward to going to high school with all of these people. Then, as happened, I got sent to a different high school where none of my friends were. That was really difficult. I did manage to make friends in my first year of school. Children acclimatise. Whilst I never feel like I fully properly allowed myself to fit in with that school and with the people there, I did actually make some friends, and I do enjoy seeing the people I went to school with actually going and making things with their lives. And the people who were in my year weren't necessarily the ones doing the bullying. It was my first year, and I have absolutely no recollection of how it started, but it all started with this boy who was much older than me. I'd say he was 3 or 4 years older than me. He was definitely in his GCSE years, and he just started making snide comments towards me. And at first, I wouldn't necessarily brush them off, but I'd just hide. As I've mentioned, I would hide in the library, so that's what I did a lot of the time. I was hidden in the library. If this person saw me in the halls, however, which would happen between every single class, he'd say something. And eventually, I'd kind of reached the end of my tether, and I just told him to piss off. This was not the thing to do when he was surrounded by his group of friends, because this entire group of friends ganged up on me, dragged me into a part of the hall where nobody could see us, and beat me around the head with, I don't know what it was, but it was an extremely heavy object that ended up causing me to actually have to leave the school because I ended up with a concussion that bad I didn't stop vomiting. This was one of those points where the person who'd started it all maybe realised they'd gone too far when they started beating me around the head, and that was the end of it. Now, I'm at this point in my life, I don't really care what people are saying about me in the street stuff. It's not that I brush it off, it's that I've just decided that's their problem. Let them live with their problem. But first, we have to go back to high school, because there is a problem with being overweight, with being obese, with being fat. This is a problem, is that people decide they have ownership over your bodies. Apart from all of these experiences I'd had before, the ones that stick in my mind is prepubescent and pubescent boys deciding that because I have got a bit of breast tissue, because of being overweight, that they would come over and they would grope me. Because these boys knew that they weren't allowed to do this to young girls, they would constantly come up and just start grabbing at me because they were like, oh, well, these are ours. No. I don't want them anyway, but you certainly aren't having them. It was in my final GCSE year. Again, I reached the end of my tether, but this time someone just got a drink thrown in the face because I don't understand why people think that it's all right to touch anybody. I'm not a big fan of physical contact anyway. You won't find me hugging anybody in the street. I'm not a hugger. Unless you're related to me, you ain't getting hugged. That's one of the things that really stuck in my mind, and I absolutely will never get over, was the fact that someone thought that it was okay to do that and their parent had never taught them that it wasn't. I don't care about the fact that I'm male and that's stopping them going and doing it to a girl, because they should not be doing that in any case. There is no reason to go and touch somebody who doesn't want to be touched in that way. It is still sexual harassment. Just because it's a male and you're a young boy, it's still sexual harassment. So teach your children not to go and grope people. After leaving school, even when I was at school and I used to walk through town, there have been people who will shout stuff at you in the streets. I once had a bin lorry stop as I was trying to cross the road in front of them, and they stopped, and the entire time I walked across the road and I had to walk past them, they were shouting obscenities at me about my weight. I have had high school children, when I had left school, run up after me and spit at me because I was fat. It's because their parents are actually teaching them that it's okay to dislike fat people. It is perfectly fine because that person is uneducated, unloved. They've clearly done this to their own body because they are so stupid that they did not know how to properly diet and exercise in order not to have such a grotesque form. And I know this because I was once at work. We had a cafe attached to the shop, and I had to go. I didn't like to eat in the cafe. I like to hide away in the office because I don't particularly like eating in front of people I don't know, especially because I know what certain reactions can be. But this next point proves it, because I was sat in the cafe, eating my lunch, minding my own business, when a mother decided to tell her daughter, "Much you get that disgusting when you eat that much." In fact, she actually told her daughter, "Look at that. Isn't that disgusting? That is what will happen to you if you eat too much." She used me as an example, and it really pissed me off because I have said throughout my entire life, I'm fat, not deaf. I can hear you when you are being a complete knobhead. You know, you can attack my character. You could absolutely hate me as a human being. You could hate things about me, and that's perfectly fine. But using the fact that I'm fat, that I'm a bigger size, is just the wrong way of going about things. This isn't a video where things get better, because things don't get better. You as a person just change, and you begin to realise that what these people are saying to you and saying about you is nothing to actually do with you. It's all of their own insecurities and their own problems and whatever's going on in their life. And you just have to be like, well, you know, I clearly don't want to be and don't have to be associated with that person. And actually treating me in a certain way because of my size is going to completely give me the impression that I need to know that I don't want you in my life. Please feel free to discuss any of your opinions surrounding bullying and any of your experiences with bullying in the comments below. We will discuss it, and we will talk trash about the people who talk trash about us. Next week, expect a body positivity video, and know that I actually, until this morning, had forgotten most of the experiences that had gone on when I was at school, because frankly, I have given up on people. I just don't keep people in my life that I don't need there. I hope you got something out of this video, and until next time, that is all.